you can configure a lifecycle rule which moves from standard down to deep archive. But what the person is asking is like, we not transition from standard IA to standard if this data is being frequently accessed? So just to answer this question, here when we talk about these rules, right, these are the lifecycle rules which you can configure in your S3 bucket. So if you see over here, whenever you go to a S3 bucket, you configure your lifecycle configuration, right? So here you define your lifecycle rules. So here you can create a lifecycle rule and you can tell it, if the object has not been accessed for 30 days, move it to the standard infrequent access. But you cannot configure a rule in such a way like if the it is accessed one time or two times, or it has been accessed like thrice continuously, you move it back to standard IA. Or basically if it has been accessed like once, like in 15 days, move it back to standard class. These rules cannot be configured. But what you can always do is, like if I have an object over here, if I'll upload an object and while uploading a file, I configure it to be like, here I'm just adding an object, and in the properties, I'm defining the storage class to be like standard IA, right? So what you can always do is, once you uploaded the object and the upload is success, you can always go about and you can edit the object and you can move it to whichever storage class you want. So you can move it back to standard. If you think like this object is getting used frequently, you want it to be frequently accessed. So if I close this, you would see like the storage class has changed to standard. Okay, so this question was like something which was asked on the forum. So I thought of taking it up. So the thing is, like when we talk about these storage classes, which we talked about, like we have standard, okay, we have standard IA, then we have your intelligent tiering. We had seen this diagram, right? So we have intelligent tiering, then we have one zone IA, then we have your glacier, instant, retrieval, then glacier, flexible retrieval, and then you have your glacier, deep archive. So what we studied was like from standard, you can configure a life cycle rule which says from standard IA, standard to intelligent tiering, standard to one zone IA. So all these rules you can configure over there, right? But what you cannot do is you cannot do something like from standard IA to standard, you cannot do, right? You cannot configure a life cycle rule. But configuring a life cycle rule is something which you want to automate the process. So you are configuring your life cycle rules, but manually you can always go and change your configuration class. Hope this helps. If it was something new you learned today, just type bulb on in the comments. And if it was something you already knew, then I think you are good with the concepts. Thank you so much.